welcome along to another of our live editions of our Song of the Week, full of actual live people. We've taken their pulses before we started the show, and we can vouch that every single one of them is living and breathing. And we are joined by our friend for this live performance edition of Song of the Week. We are joined by our good friend Tal Bachman. And it's always a bit fraught when Tal and I get together because I'm like down the Nancy Boy show tune queen end of things, and Tal is a big butch rock and roller. So it's kind of hard finding some kind of boggy ground in the middle where we can meet. And the song we're going to do today actually started off down my end of things, but somehow wound up more down Tal's end of things, which can sometimes happen to songs. And people, sometimes with old songs, people think that they must all be by famous people. All the old, if the song is older than 50 years old, it must be by Irving Berlin or Cole Porter or Rodgers and Hart. And sometimes it's actually by guys who aren't even household names in their own households. And that is certainly the case with these two, because this song was written by Beasley Smith and Haven Gillespie. Any Haven Gillespie fans in the house tonight? Well, everybody here actually knows has words of Haven Gillespie's in their heads, because Haven Gillespie is the guy who wrote, "He's making a list, checking it twice, gonna find out who's naughty or nice," which is actually the only moral component to the contemporary American Christmas songbook. All the rest is just godlessness and debauchery, and with a slathering of sentimental nostalgia. And it's gotten worse in recent years. In whatever that Colby Kaye song, Christmas on the Beach, Tal?
No.
You're a lucky man. Yeah. But the moral component in America's Christmas songbook was inserted there. He's making a list, checking it twice, gonna find out who's naughty or nice, which is from Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which Eddie Cantor introduced on the radio on Christmas 1934. And then about 5 years later, Haven Gillespie had another hit with something called You Go to My Head, which is a beautiful saloon ballad, the heady intoxication, like some of you guys, 2:45 in the morning when we're in the bar upstairs. It has that feeling. And then he had a dry patch. And in 1949, he wrote a song with a fella called Beasley Smith. Any Beasley Smith fans in the house tonight? No Beasley Smith fans. Beasley Smith is even more obscure than Haven Gillespie. He was basically a big band guy from Nashville, which sounds like he was born in the wrong place. And it didn't really work out for him in that sense. But he did write this song in 1949. And there were two competing recordings of it. Frank Sinatra made a record of it. And this was young Frankie in his days at Columbia Records. So it had a beautiful string arrangement by Axel Stordahl. And he sang it very sweet and very tender. And then the other version was by Frankie Lane, who was the other Frankie in town back then. And Frankie Lane roughed it up a bit. And he roughed up the song and he made it kind of more raw. And it's pretty much stayed roughed up ever since. So his roughed up version became the version of the song, and Ray Charles did it roughed up, and Aretha Franklin did it roughed up, and Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash did it roughed up, and it never quite made its way back to that young Frank Sinatra, very sweet and tender, exquisite string arrangement. So it started off as a conventional Tin Pan Alley song and kind of migrated sort of down the rhythm and blues end of things. And Tal, you told me the other day the version of the song you knew. Tell us which version of the song stuck in your head.
Well, I first encountered this song listening to the Sun Records compilation of all of the Jerry Lee Lewis recordings. So they put out this box set, and it was every second of Jerry Lee Lewis recording 100 takes of Great Balls of Fire and all these different things. And there was one take of this song,
Yeah.
and it very much sounded like a whiskey-soaked evening, and it was just him at a piano doing all kinds of crazy flourishes, and he had a little bit of honky-tonk, hill people kind of vibe in the song, and it was, to me, it was very intoxicating. Yeah. I mean, I might try a flourish or two. I mean, we might have a bit of a car crash here during my version of it, but to pay homage to Jerry Lee's redneck hillbilly version, but
yeah,
a wonderfully evocative performance, which you can hear on YouTube.
And it's a song I've always liked. It's one of those songs that about how man has a rotten, stinking life, and nature just gets on with things and doesn't really notice what a lousy time you're having. Far below. It's like that. It's the same kind of sentiment as Old Man River just keeps rolling along. But in this case, it is about, actually, in Jerry Lee Lewis terms, it's about the ultimate great ball of fire up in the sky. And it doesn't have lines that people know, like he's making a list, checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty or nice. But the line in this song, Tal, that I always stands out to me is that fantastic line, fuss with my woman. Fuss with my woman. Don't fuss with your woman. That's not a good thing to do. But even if you do, the sun will still rise in the morning. A big #1 hit record in 1949 for Frankie Laine, and done by hundreds of people in the decades since. Here is Tal Bachman with That Lucky Old Sun. Hey, Tal.
What?
You've got the wrong sheet music. It's not the Grieg piano concerto, That's...
Up in the morning, out to a job, work like a devil for my pay, while that lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Fuss with my woman, toil for my kids, sweat till I'm wrinkled and gray, while that lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Dear Lord above, can't you hear me pining? Tears are in my eyes, and down the clouds with a silver lining, lift me up to paradise. Show me that river, take me across, wash all my troubles away. Well, that lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. The Lord above, can't you hear me pining? Tears are in my eyes. Send down the cloud with a silver lining, lift me up to paradise. Show me that river, take me across, wash all my troubles away. Well, that lucky old song ain't got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. But roll round heaven all day.
Terrific. Tal Bachman, giving it some welly, as they say in Yorkshire, on that lucky old son. Music by Beasley Smith and words by Haven Gillespie, and a great song now entering its 8th decade. Thank you so much, Tal, and we'll see you next time.